Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up earlier today with Rick Mazur. He's the CEO of Forum Energy Metals. We talked to him about their Rio Tinto earning. They also have one with Orano, and they're controlling their own projects, chasing nickel, copper, and PGMs. All very, very topical, certainly feeding into the EV thematic. So we talked to him about his plans on how they hope to monetize and value all of those projects moving forward. If you want our view on that, the company, the conversation, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis, which you might find useful. We've got training videos on there to help you with your diligence process, summaries of other interviews that we've done just to save you some time. And of course, there's commentary from market experts from around the world with a variety of companies and commodities in our weekly shows. Plus, there's a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly, safe environment, free from trolling and abuse. If that sounds nice to you, go and join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. And we'd love your feedback too. So do give us a like, it'd be appreciated. Leave your comments below. We get back to absolutely everyone. And of course, if you want to see specifically what we talked about today, take a look in the description below. Rick, how are you, sir?
Doing excellent. Very pleased with the way things have unfolded over the year, despite the challenges we've all faced.
Yeah. And well, that's the first thing. It's literally been a year since we spoke. 1 year, Rick. Too long. Yeah. Far too long.
It's hard to believe.
I know. Have you left your house in that time?
You know what? Been staying pretty close to home, getting out for walks and, trying to do a bit of rollerblading and to get some exercise.
What? Rollerblading?
Yeah. Well, I played hockey all my life, being a good Canadian boy. So I like to skate. I just like getting out skating. And then in the winter, this winter, we're fortunate enough to be able to get to go skiing. The skiing is still happening here in Canada, and try and get out on weekends and get some exercise doing that. Other than that, sticking close to home.
Sticking close to home, following the rules. I'm impressed with the skating though. That's useless. I've got one pair of very brand new looking ish roller skates. If you want them, I used them once, realized that it wasn't for me. They're yours. They're yours, Rick.
Yeah, I'm good. I've got a nice pair of roller blades.
I bet.
And
okay, well, look, Rick, we haven't caught up for a year, but I still think there's a lot of the interview from a year ago which kind of set the tone, right? Okay, you talked about the 4 assets that you've got in some detail as it was. Then you talked through the track record, the business plan strategy for the team. I still think that's worth a watch, and we'll put a link to that in the description below because if people can go there. I wanted to catch up with you because it's been a really interesting year since we spoke. Because you are targeting uranium, copper, nickel, PGMs. I don't think if you wrote down, if you could choose to write down the 4 commodities that you'd want to be looking at in 2020 and 2021, those would probably be the 4.
Yeah, well, that was a deliberate strategy of ours back in 2017 when we decided to diversify out of uranium when uranium was tough, but as you know, uranium's on its way back here 4 years later.
Well, yeah, we'll come on to the uranium in a second because it's a whole new story. The uranium equities are on the up. Uranium price not so much, just still languishing, doing its own thing. We'll come back to that one. I tell you what, for people new to this story, because we've got 1 or 2 more viewers than we had last time. Can you give us a 1-minute overview of the business? And I'll pick it up with some of the questions we want to ask you after that.
I'm sure you have more than 1 or 2.
Well, we had 1 last time.
New
He's
viewers.
a really good guy, and he's still with us today. But we've got 1 or 2 more.
Forum is an energy metals focused company. We're listed on the TSX Venture Exchange. The symbol is FMC. I'm Rick Mazur, the CEO and president. I started the company in 2004 as a uranium company. And we did a lot of really good work in the Athabasca Basin of Saskatchewan in uranium from 2004 till 2017, when we decided we saw the wave, the green economy coming, etc., and we thought we should diversify into the energy metal space. And since that time, we've acquired a first-class copper prospect in Saskatchewan, a great nickel PGM prospect, and of course, we still maintain our inventory of really good uranium projects that have all been drilled and are ready for discovery.
Beautiful. Okay. Now, Rick, when we spoke, you talked about all this land package that you had, and you took the sensible decision of finding strategic partners, and you got some pretty good ones. If I look at Janice Lake, Rio Tinto partner, they had an option in place, and that option. Well, maybe remind us of the terms that you signed with them, and maybe then go into what have they done in 2020 since I last saw you.
Right. Yeah. So we acquired the Janice Lake copper project in 2018, drilled it in 2019, did a $30 million option with Rio Tinto. They can earn 80% by spending $30 million on the project. They drilled it in 2019, within weeks of entering into the joint venture. 2020, since we last talked, the plan was to build a winter haul road into the project area, because the drilling that we had done in 2019 was highly successful, and Rio Tinto decided to build a 110-kilometer winter haul road into the project area last winter and build an 80-man camp. That tells me that they're committed. The COVID delayed that a little bit. The road got in, but the camp didn't. So this past summer, Rio Tinto built that 80-man camp on the project, right in the project area, and also conducted a full geological mapping and prospecting program over the full 50-kilometer extent of what is not just a copper deposit; it's a district. So they mapped it. They put out they did 18 RAB drill holes, which is kind of like a scout drilling kind of program on a number of copper showings in the area, and came up with some really good results this summer. They did geophysics, they did geochemistry. It was really a holistic exploration approach. And this summer, they have collected a lot of really good information for a drill program, which is currently underway. We have 2 drills on the property, and we're going to just keep pounding holes into these prospects until the spring breakup.
Okay, remind me, how quickly do they need to spend that $30 million? And while we're at it, how much have they spent to date? How much did they spend in 2020? And what's the plan for 2021? Because that's an easier way for people to kind of assess how serious they are. Because Rio Tinto is a big company, $30 million is not a lot of dollars. Yeah.
So they have to spend 2019 by 2023 they have to spend $10 million to earn 51%. Well, they're going to earn that this year during this current drill campaign. That's how much they've advanced this project with all the infrastructure they've put into it, with building the camp and the road, and with all the geology, geophysics, and geochemistry and drilling that they've done to date and will complete this winter. So they're going to be well over $10 million. They have 7 years to elect to do after that 4 years, they have to elect to spend another $20 million to earn from 51% to 80%. So they do have another couple of years to make that election, but I've been assured by Rio Tinto, that if they like what they see, they're just going to keep plugging away.
Okay, so let me get that right. So they have spent $10 million within 4 years, but they'll probably do that this year. And then they've got to spend the balance 7 years after that 4 year period. So during 11 year.
From year 4 to year 7, they have to spend
to
20
year
million.
7. So right. So 7 years.
So
got it.
It's the way the agreement is worded. They have 4 years to elect to spend the next 20 million, but there's nothing to stop them from just to keep going.
Right. Okay. So
above over the 10 million, which is going to be spent this year.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay. So I guess that would be one to watch, because they can choose to spend it as quickly or as slowly, up to the end of the term, as they should wish. What happens if they haven't spent $30 million by the end of the 7 year period? Do they still get to hold their 51%?
Yes, it is. They will have earned that 51% interest under the first option.
Gotcha. Okay.
They have to elect to take it. They may decide not to burden the project with it and give it back to us 100%. I've seen Rio Tinto do that in the past.
Yeah, well, that's going to be my next question. It's like, what happens when they've spent their 30 million, they've got 80% of the company, and they get distracted by bigger opportunities elsewhere? What's that mean for you? How do situations like that get resolved?
Yeah, well, if they earn their 80%, we are a 20% equity partner. If they continue to do work on the project and build a mine, we participate or find a buyer for our 20%, or they buy us out. If they decide to, in your scenario, to hold off on the project or get distracted, I guess it just sits there, and they own 80 and we own 20, and there's little expenditures done. But I don't think that's going to be a valid scenario. They're going to be going gung ho. They've made a discovery. We need copper in this world. I mean, the compound annual growth rate for copper is over 3% projected for the next 10 years. I get that, Rick, but it is a scenario, but it's the most negative scenario, because you've got to try and work out how you create value for stuff. And the only reason I ask is I wonder how management team go about constructing these agreements so that you encourage these big companies to spend the money. So I get that it's a scenario, and it's not particularly the nicest one, but it's definitely a scenario. Given what you want them to do is find a lot of copper, keep drilling, and for you to be able to work out what the sort of quantum of that is, what the future value of that could be. Clearly you want them to do that as quickly as possible. What else are they telling you other than they're going to spend $10 million way ahead of schedule? What else do you know? The program they've got the camp in there. They're moving up supplies in there to be on site so that they can work 24/7, 12 months of the year. After this drill program, we'll see what the drill bit brings. But the plan is to continue exploration this summer. Last summer's program identified another area of potential interest, which is 18 kilometers away from this initial drill area. They've uncovered a they found a boulder grading over 3% copper. So that kind of needs to be followed up. As I mentioned earlier on, this is a copper district. There's probably several deposits here, and that's the way Rio Tinto is sort of viewing this project.
No, people like the idea of district-wide copper. It's brilliant, but they also have a way of going about working the district. It's not doesn't have the kind of section that says of regular for public companies. You need to put out results because they've only got one or two assets. Rio's doing this in the context of a very large portfolio. So can we expect to see more regular results, or do they have their own way of working? Have you got any influence in the way that they put information into the market, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, the drill's turning. 2 drills are turning right now. We get real-time results. Once they've put the assays in, that takes 4 to 6 weeks. They do their QA/QC, internal QA/QC, before they release the results to us. But once they've gone through that QA/QC process, we get the results. And if it's material to forum, we put together a news release. We go through it with them.
Beautiful. So you've got the right to actually help the market understand what's happened, because you have, well, at the moment. Brilliant. Okay.
Absolutely. I
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So results, now that they're already drilling, we expect results to be coming out, starting to come out the beginning of April. And there'll be results from this project coming from April through till I guess about June.
Okay. And what's your ideal scenario there? I mean, assume Rio continue to spend, they find what they want. It looks like it's going to be something of value. You end up with 20% of this thing in some kind of reasonably short time frame. Do you keep that within the current company? Do you spin that out as another vehicle? I mean, what are the options available to you?
Yeah, well, if a major copper discovery is made, there's a lot of options open to us, isn't there? Owning 20% with the portfolio we have, I can see a situation where we would probably spin out a copper development company and maintain. Separate our exploration assets to maintain the upside on the other exploration assets, something like that.
Right. I guess, like I say, lots of options near the time you work out what you want to do. Should we move to Fair Island? Because you've also your second big partner here. So if Rio wasn't big enough, you've also got Orano, a very large uranium producer. Have they been up to much since we spoke in last February? Well,
when we talked last February, we were drilling at Fair Island. Forum is the operator of that project. Orano's quite happy to allow us to operate. Our vice president of exploration, Ken Wheatley, is a former Orano employee and 35-year veteran of uranium exploration in the Athabasca. So they're quite happy to utilize us as operators, and we like it too because we get a 10% management fee. And then we were drilling last year when we talked, and right after February, as you know, COVID happened. So we got shut down. So the program was, we only got 1,800 meters of drilling last winter. We're drilling now. There's 2 drills on the property. And originally we were going to drill about 6,000 meters, but because of warm weather here in North America, in January, things have been delayed. I hope to get about 5,000 meters of drilling at Fair Island with these 2 drills. And again, we're operating this year.
Okay, so slight delays because of for COVID. So why is warm weather in January bad? Is it amount of water? Is that the problem?
In northern Canada, in the Canadian Shield, you like to drag the drills around on frozen ground, or you may have to pull a drill in over a lake type of thing. So you got to wait until things freeze up here to get equipment in to mobilize things. January was a very warm month in northern Canada. It was quite unique, but that changed in a big hurry when February showed up, and it was 40 below again. So we're back in business. We're drilling.
Right, but it's early days again, and we said at the beginning we talk about the uranium market. It's funny year. End of last year, sort of end of November, December into January, a lot of the uranium equities saw a spike in their share price, long awaited, not driven by anything other than well, certainly wasn't the uranium spot price. That has done nothing for the uranium players. What do you think caused that?
Well, a number of things happened. I guess perfect storm. I mean, the U.S. Made the decision to source domestic uranium, and they don't have any. So currently, most of the uranium probably comes from Canada, from the likes of Cameco, etc. And at that same time, the Cigar Lake, Cameco's Cigar Lake mine had a COVID outbreak, and they had to shut things down. So that kind of created a bit of angst in the market, and then the real big thing, I think, was the Biden victory in the United States and his green plan, etc. Because in December, that's when uranium equities took off with the view that part of Biden's green plan that nuclear would form part of that plan.
Is that what you attribute your share gains to, the uranium part of this story, or is it also because of the Rio component?
Well, both. You pointed out we've got four of the commodities that are in real demand right now. In November, October, November, copper was really starting to move. Its price it's been up 15% this year, 25% in 2020. But it really started to make its move in November. So the copper move was really getting us some attention, and then all that uranium stuff sort of happened at the same time, and in early December, and that really just kind of exacerbated the whole situation. The stock just started to take off. People started looking at us as a uranium company, and then they went and they look and they go, Rio Tinto, $30 million copper. So I think it was a combination
of those. I mean, look, you're a long-standing uranium guy. That's what you know and love. Your projects are quite early, but that's what I'm wondering about, how much credit they gave you for the uranium components, given your projects are early. Or do you think that across the board, uranium equities were getting credit for, pounds in the ground?
I think people saw that we had Orano, one of the largest uranium companies in the world, French Nuclear Corporation, as a partner. They saw that. Our projects are not that early. We explored for uranium, as I said, for over close to 12 years, I guess, from 2004 to 2015 was our last drill campaign in uranium. We have 7 uranium projects outside of what Orano's doing for us at Fur Island. They've all been drilled. They've all had good science. They've all been drilled at least once, if not twice, and really are quite advanced uranium drill projects.
Why do you say they've been drilled once, if not twice? Why does that make them advanced? What do you know about them?
Well, we drilled those projects by ourselves once or twice. Part of our business model was to at least get one drill campaign in, and then option projects off to majors. One of our uranium projects was optioned off to Rio Tinto. Our Henday project was optioned off to Rio Tinto. They had 2 drill campaigns on that, and then uranium market went down, so they lost interest. Our Northwest Athabasca joint venture is another joint venture with Orano. We've had during those years we had 3 drill campaigns on it, and have some very interesting drill targets. We've got pitch in the drill bit, up to a couple of percent pitch blend, and it's just waiting for another drill campaign to make a major discovery.
Right. Okay. I guess it's relative in the sense of what one interprets by advanced. There's not scoping studies per se, are there?
No. We're still in the exploration phase.
Got it. Okay.
It's the Athabasca Basin, the richest uranium basin in the world.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the right postcode for sure. Can we get onto the bits that you control? So Rio Tinto, brilliant strategic partner to have on board. Orano, brilliant strategic partner to have on board. But there's bits that you're controlling, the projects that you're controlling, and they've got copper, nickel, PGMs, all the things that you want to see. And those prices have been, unlike uranium, those prices have been moving. Nickel is, up at probably, near all-time highs. Copper, definitely. Huge interest in PGMs, all around this EV thematic that's going on around the world. People trying to really sort of lock in and work out where they fit. So how are you approaching those projects? How are you financing those projects?
Yeah. So when we did the deal with Rio Tinto, we sort of said, what next? Scoured the whole geoatlas of Saskatchewan and found the Love Lake nickel copper PGM area was open for staking. We staked it in 2019. In 2020, I raised $400,000. Things were still pretty tough before the market kind of took off last July. So I raised $400,000. We flew an airborne survey over top of it, of the Love Lake nickel copper PGM project, and much to our surprise, we identified 3 really strong target areas, feeder zones, so to speak, which are really good hosts for magmatic nickel copper deposits. It's got PGMs with it as well, but this area has never really been looked at for a nickel deposit. And we've identified these feeders that we think have the potential for a nickel deposit, very similar to the Chalice Gold Julimar discovery, something like that. So we're just we were able to raise some more money. We have a $2.5 million in the bank right now. We're planning a $1 million program at Love Lake this year in 2021 to conduct an electromagnetic survey and follow up with drilling.
Okay, fantastic. So you raised some money recently, actually, another 1.5 recently. You're quite cautious with your money. You don't go crazy. I've noticed that's a theme that's reoccurring here. So you take it's some of the companies that we interview go a little bit crazy and they raise a lot of money to get things moving quickly to fit into a marketplace. Have you got a sort of sense of which cycle you're trying to fit in here? Because the copper market's doing its thing. But again, this is an early stage project. You've got to come at it a certain way, right? There's no point in sort of raising too much money now, dilusory or otherwise, and you're probably going to miss this cycle anyway. I mean, so what's the thinking about how you approach the nickel and the copper here?
Yeah, well, we're a technically driven company. You hit the nail on the head. There's two of us. There's me and Ken Wheatley. We don't have big overheads and all that. Having said that, we have a really good story this year, and we raised enough money this year to get out and market the story. We'll be doing a lot more of that this year than we have in the past, because we do have a good story to tell. We've got 4 drills turning right now, and we're going to have a 5th drill turning on a 3rd project on a nickel prospect. So we're cautious, but at the same time we're aggressive. And what I think we'll do we'll see what comes out of the drill bit. We're a discovery company. If we hit something like what Chalice Gold did, we're away to the races. Then we can go back to our business model where we find a major company partner, or we spin it off because the market's really good and we want to have a nickel subco. Who knows? That's
interesting to me. I like that, because my next question was going to be, if you hit some decent nickel grades like a Chalice, who are you going to call? And you've gone to a major, right? And do you feel that the balance would be better served if you got someone a little bit smaller with cash, but a little bit smaller, because they're going to be more incentivized to actually progress the thing quicker than perhaps a Rio Tinto or perhaps an Orano if they get distracted?
Yeah, there's always that potential. I mean, someone smaller is only as good as the market you're in, and there weren't a lot of smaller guys during the bad times in this business that could raise a plugged nickel. Everyone can raise money in a good market.
Yeah, and they certainly are, and some will still be around in 5 years, and some won't. I guess you've seen a few cycles, Yeah,
sure have. yeah. This would be what, number 5, something like that. It's starting out as a young geologist type of thing, but.
No, but I meant this in terms of, do you think the cycles are getting? Are they just predictable? The people new to this, you get very excited. You've got gold bugs getting very excited. This is the first time gold's, shot up so high. And obviously recently it's been a little bit more problematic in terms of the pricing, or this is the first time they're seeing a nickel super cycle. But you've seen these things come and go. But do you think in this new EV world that we're in, that the rules are going to change? The extent, the length of these cycles are going to change? Or do you think it's going to just follow the same old patterns?
Yeah, well, I think we are in a transitional economy. Whether you believe it or not, we are going to start. People want change. the social license is requiring it. It's happening. We are going to sort of diminish our fossil fuel usage over the next 50 years. It's still going to be around for 50 years, but we are going to transition to this green economy. And I tell you, it's going to need a lot of metals to do so. We kind of saw that when we focused on trying to get copper assets back in 2017. The copper that's needed for battery electric vehicles is 4 times what it is in an internal combustion engine. The amount of copper you need to build charging stations is out of this world. The amount of copper that's used for renewable energies, wind and solar and all that, it's needed. Copper's needed for all of those. There's a ton of copper. It's a copper boom. It really is what we're going to be seeing over the next 10 years.
I think so. You're definitely in the right commodity areas, that's for sure, Rick. Rick, I mean, super to see you again. Super to hear the stories advancing and moving forward. You are as cautious and as prudent as I remember you. So I wish you well for this year. It sounds like it's going to be a good one, especially on your own project. So please stay in touch and let us know how things are progressing with the drill, because that's always the exciting bit.
No, we sure will. The drill results from Janice Lake, as I say, should be starting to come out in April, and we'll have probably good news flow right through till June. Then same with Fur Island uranium project. Drill results should start coming out around in April, May as well, and then by June, July, we'll be transitioning over to our Love Lake nickel project, and we'll be starting drilling at Love Lake for nickel in July. So then there's going to be another set of results. Janice Lake's going to keep going all summer. And I didn't mention, when nobody wanted uranium, we staked a really good uranium property that we coveted for years, that came open last year. We call it the Wollaston Project. We're going to do a little bit of work on that this year as well, to get it to a drill stage. So there's going to be a lot of activity for Forum.
Sounds like. I look forward to speaking to you again, sir. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thanks, Matthew.